They'll match you up to $100.
I have a cup for Cooper Cup, I guess.
Make sure when you're at the Cheesecake Factory, instead of paying a tip, just write alarm in there.
I'm like MacGyver with running back rooms.
Yeah, that's pretty true. That's true, and yeah, that's true.
Okay, I'm getting word. We might get Joe Burrow in here. Hey, Joe!
No, I'm not drafting anyone at all.
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
I've got information, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is lightning round. Kevin Tompkins, Britt Flinn, Andrew Cooper coming at you live. Thank you, Fantasy Alarm, for giving us this platform. How are you guys doing? Coop, you're fresh off the old bachelor party here, so you're alive, so that's at least a good thing. How'd it go?
Took a little time to recover, you know what I mean? Might have had a few extra Bud Lights, dude. Spent more time in the pool than I did in my own bed, but I'm back, baby. I'm back and ready to rock and roll. I went to a football game while I was out there, so I did do a little footballing, so it was good.
There you go. Brett, how are you doing?
How was the game?
It was.
I'm
It was
good.
interesting. You know what's crazy about that stadium? I don't know if it was just this game, although it is a division game, but like, legit, 1/3 of the fans there were wearing Cardinals jerseys. 1/3 were wearing Rams jerseys. An equal third, I felt, and then 1/3 were wearing random jerseys. Like, I was wearing a Ben Coates jersey, and I ran into a dude wearing a Mac Jones jersey, and we're like just chatting it up, and another
Kindred
dude
spirits.
walks up wearing a John Hanna jersey. Like, just dudes I didn't even know. You know what I mean? It's like, and then my buddy was there who was a Patriots fan. We're all talking Pats, and I'm like, oh, it's the third quarter. Maybe we should go see what's going on in the game in here. But it was like that. There were transplants all over. It was kind of wild,
Yeah, and then the guy with the Doug Flutie jersey came by, and you guys just talked shit about him for,
The Doug Flutie guy came by. We're like, keep walking, Flutie.
Steve Grogan jersey went by, didn't even give him a look.
Yes, Toronto Dave. It was not my birthday, but the thing is, enough people on Friday or Thursday said it was my birthday that my buddies were watching the show, and they called it my birthday all weekend, and were telling people it was my birthday all weekend, to the point where at one point I inadvertently told someone it was my birthday. They were like, what are you doing out here? I was like, it's my birthday. And then I realized, like, wait a second, no, it's not. Like,
You became a part of the bit.
it became my birthday. Yeah, the lie became real.
That's what
I love
happens. Good times. Well, I'm glad you had fun. Glad you're still here, on this big floating rock that we call Earth.
It was nice.
Not sleeping on a roof somewhere. I mean, we've all seen the movies, so good for that. We had I'll say weird 3 was a very weird week for football. Just a lot of, week 1 and week 2 were like our introductions back into NFL football. And then week 3 was kind of the, I guess, this league is weird and crazy shit can happen. So, some quick takeaways on week 3. I'll start with you, Britt.
I just cannot believe that Kevin O'Connell still failed to utilize Justin Jefferson, and I'm very bitter about it. I still won my matchup in the league, or a couple leagues that I have him in. But how are you throwing to Johnny Munt and KJ Osborne? Adam Thielen finally got his, which was great. But how are you not even targeting him against that defense? It makes absolute zero sense. And I'm just, they need to get their stuff together, especially before week 4.
I think it might be Jeff Okuda, man. He might be a real problem. I'm starting to look at some of the numbers on that, and they had him on Devonta Smith week 1, didn't catch a ball. Terry McLaurin, against Terry McLaurin, he only had like 20 yards, and then kind of took Jefferson away. We'll see. It's going to be interesting this week to see Okuda is going to be covering one of Tyler Lockett or Metcalf. Could be a real problem, and it's hard to tell who, because he didn't cover AJ Brown, but he did cover Justin Jefferson. My guess would be he covers the flanker, because that's what he seems to be doing, which would be Lockett, who has had back-to-back 11 targets, so you can't bench him. It's like that whole situation is crazy. Yeah, but I don't know. My one takeaway from this week is that, like, we once again have a difficult time determining which divisions are going to be good or terrible, apparently, because the AFC West barely not as good as we thought they are, or at least not yet. They're not. Like, none of those teams, right? All of them are bad, right? Like, who's the best team in that division right now? The Chiefs, probably.
And even they don't look great.
They don't look great. The Raiders haven't won. Russ Wilson looks like he's drawing up plays in the sand before the game, like being like every play goes down to the last second of the clock, and the Chargers are pretty rough. They just got crushed by the Jaguars. Crushed. Not even close. 38-10. So I don't know, man. That division will be interesting.
And losing all of their, losing Bosa now to his groin surgery, which who knows when he's going to be back, losing Rashawn Slater for the season. I mean, Rashawn Slater was the one bright spot last season on that team, on that offensive line. And now that they've lost him, you've got to protect Herbert. I mean, who the hell knows what's going to happen
Herbert's
with
hurt
that.
as well, right?
Yeah.
Keenan Allen's
not great.
There's a bunch of that going around, so.
Yeah, not great, Bob. I guess mine would be just, teams are not, it's a week-to-week league, literally. Teams snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Like, look at the Buffalo Bills. I mean, granted, that was against a good team in Miami, who I think we can certainly say is a good team now. And if you look at their schedule coming up, I mean, I talked about it on the Fantasy Besties. That's a team that could possibly go 10-0, 11-0. I mean, it is soft. It is Charmin soft. And then the Chiefs, against the Colts. I think the Colts are dust. Maybe my opinion is pretty low on the Colts. I just don't think they're as good as what, a lot of people think they are. Just Taylor's great. Pittman's really good. I don't really have a high opinion on Matt Ryan right now. And then the rest of the offense is just kind of Jags at this point. But
except for baby boy Jelani Woods. Let's not lump Jelani Woods into the Jag category.
he is a robust toddler right now in this offense. He's just strutting around there with a full diaper, and he's got his he can have whatever he wants. That wide receiver 2 or pass catcher 2 in that offense is as wide open as anybody. So who's to say?
Play more snaps than 60 out of 74. But hey, I mean, double those snaps, they'll score 4 touchdowns next week. So that's the way that works.
Full diaper Jelani Woods. Didn't think I'd be throwing that little nugget out there, but here we are.
Especially this early.
I know, right? Yeah, we're usually an hour in before we get to those takes, but it is what it is. So let's talk about week 4. We got hopefully a more fun week, I would say, this week coming up. We have a London game for the first time, so get ready to set your lineups at 6:30 Pacific time. That'll be fun for old Howard Bender to set his lineups there with Viking Saints. Let's go with the player or situation we're excited about, and let's go with Coop here. What about you? What are you excited about?
I'm excited to see which team will end up being the worst 3-1 team of all time. Will it be the Chicago Bears or will it be the New York Giants? I mean, these teams are both disgusting, in my opinion. The Giants perhaps not even of any fault of their own, because no one seems to either want to play for them or stay healthy as far as pass catchers, right? Kenny Galladay's checked out. Kadarius Toney is checked out and hurt. Wanda Robinson's hurt. And then poor Sterling Shepard, the one dude who, tore his Achilles, fought to come back, took less money to stay with the team, right? Was the only dude actually playing all the snaps, got hurt, and now he's out for the season again. So now we're going to see Richie James and David Sills go up against Equanimeous St. Brown. This is going to be a disaster. I might watch the whole game. I might put this game on the big TV just to see what kind of a disaster it is. What's the over under for that game? 35?
12.
Yeah, seriously. So I'm excited for that.
It cannot be high.
One of those teams is going to be first in their division coming out of that game,
which is just crazy to me.
Awesome.
It's do y'all remember Whose Line Is It Anyway, where the points are made up and nothing matters? That's how I feel about this matchup in this division. Who cares about having
I hope it's Chicago. Team? I hope it's Chicago, Wendy, and I hope they throw it 5 times. I hope they throw 5 times and they win, and they're 3-1, and with 50 pass attempts, less than Joe Flacco's attempted in any single game. That would be perfect.
They might as well be a service academy at this point.
Well, I would personally like that for all my Khalil Herbert shares. And, the Giants didn't exactly look great against Pollard and Zeke either. So I feel like it could be a big Khalil Herbert game. Even if Montgomery comes back, I bet he's on a snap count. And so I hope you picked up Herbert on waivers. But the situation or game that I'm excited about is to see the Bills and the Ravens. Lamar Jackson has come out and basically put himself at the forefront of the MVP conversation, even though, they did lose to Miami. Buffalo lost to Miami. I want to see these two quarterbacks go head to head. This also might be a little bit of a weather game with the hurricane making its way up the coast at that point. I think that there's a 90% chance of rain, something like that, with maybe, I think 30-ish mile an hour winds. So that's going to play a big factor. And we're actually going to see the Bills have to utilize their run game and how well the Ravens can stop it. We know that the Ravens have a bad pass defense, but I want to see somebody actually have to have a good old school, like ground and pound game just to see how this shakes out. And Lamar Jackson is a big part of that. I want to see him go down there, completely run it down Buffalo's throats, continue to make his case for MVP, and continue to make a case for him getting paid. So I don't know how you guys feel about that.
My hope upon hopes is that J.K. Dobbins is running and the winds get so strong it literally lifts him off the ground and over the Bills defense just for multiple touchdowns. Like that would be pretty sweet. Yeah, I mean the fact that I know, right? The zero times that's ever happened in recorded human history, that would be great. But no, the fact that this game is at 1:00 Eastern and not like the national game. I mean, trust me, Coop and I, Packers Patriots is a national game because we know CBS could not resist getting a shot of Aaron Rodgers on national TV against the immortal Brian Hoyer. But superstar. But yeah, that game's going to be the game, and the fact that we get it at 1:00. I mean, most of the country's going to see it anyway. So I mean, it's really not much of a difference.
I think we should start after the past couple weeks of these primetime games just being complete and utter trash. I feel like the NFL needs to have some sort of fan vote input in there, like which games we want to see in primetime to avoid us seeing.
Let's go.
Yes, yes, that would be the one, right?
The troll vote will win almost every time.
Oh yeah, you can't be putting those two votes on the.
That's how you get those votes.
But I'm saying
Brody McVote
not where it's like vote, but like take a poll, like a legit poll of just random people and see like who the people actually want to see. Like we didn't want to see that San Francisco Denver game. That game was garbage. The Cowboys Giants game was pretty much garbage until the end of the third quarter.
So like CeeDee Lamb had that catch. That's about it.
Yeah. These low T primetime games, they got to go.
I mean, Bengals Dolphins should be pretty good. I mean, on paper, that should be a good game, hopefully. I mean, with our luck, that's going to be like a 9-7 snooze fest. But
it's so weird watching football out on the West Coast, like on West Coast time, because it's like you're up drinking beers early.
Right. Like Sunday night football is done and like, oh, it's like 7:00. Like, what do we do now?
But then it was like
there's still daylight.
Right. Well, we went to the game and we got out. It was still like 110 degrees out, and I was just like, I watched the first games drinking in a pool, and then I went to the game. And after the game, I was like, can we shut this off, please? Like, I'm done with this.
Go back to the pool.
I'm done with this here. The sun.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Let's get
exactly like that.
Yep. Let's get to this question here from Alex. Trade Goddard and McKenzie for T. Higgins. My other wide receivers are Debo, Devonta Smith, tight ends David Njoku. What do you guys think? Goddard and McKenzie. I mean, good luck if you're able to get T. Higgins for Goddard and McKenzie. I'll just say Godspeed on that, good sir.
If you could if that's on the table and you can get T. Higgins, you need to snap accept that right.
Yeah,
now.
you need to like.
I don't care if you had no tight end on your entire roster.
Don't close the stream out. Just open a new tab. Go to your league. Go accept it right now.
McKenzie doesn't play enough snaps. He doesn't play a full snap share. He didn't even play a full snap share when Gabe Davis was out.
Right.
He's just not a full-time player.
And also hit the like button on this video.
it looks nice when he plays 46 snaps in a game this weekend, but they played 91.
He also had 90. Yeah.
91. So he played half the snaps roughly. It's like, which looks terrible when they have a game under control and they play, like the Dolphins, who they played against, only played 43 snaps. Isaiah McKenzie would have played about 20 in that game. So yeah, just kind of ridiculous.
And Njoku, if Njoku's your other tight end, I mean, he's really come on. And I think that, you know, all this fear that we had about the Browns offense going into the season, we've kind of shaken that off. Like, we've seen that they are very capable of spreading the ball around to both Amari Cooper and Njoku, and then still able to get it to Chubb. So I would ride with Njoku and try to get that upside with Higgins for sure.
Shout out Albert, dude. Albert was in the chat this morning for our FYF show, like 8 a.m., dude. You're a soldier, Albert, dude.
He is a soldier. He's always here.
Too. Yeah, you're the man, Albert. And you're awesome
Absolutely.
too, Andy, and Toronto. Oh, gang, dude. Love this crew.
Dave, Ying tight end or Yang tight end, but you don't know the actual player.
Go with the Yang tight end, man. Go big. Like, just go for it. That's what I'm doing this week.
Full diaper play.
That's right, dude.
I really got to stop with that. I'm gonna get canceled.
I'm not even sure what that means.
I don't even know
it has,
either. I was just the huevos.
It has kind of seen that, you know, all these top end tight ends, aside from, you know, Kelsey and Mark Andrews, and to be honest, even Kelsey to some extent, because he hasn't lived up, aside from that week 1, to what we thought his potential was going to be. A lot of these, you know, high upside tight end guys have really been the ones who have showed up for you every week. So yeah, it's a weird year. I'm just already going to call it now. This year is strange.
Yeah. Tight ends are bad. Like, Will Dissly is a top 12 tight end. That's like the strength of what, like 2 touchdowns? That's pretty much
it. Always looks like this though, man. It always looks
Oh,
like
no,
this.
I know. But the fact that, I mean, Tyler Conklin is tight end 3. And then, you know, in the random stroke of genius, you know, we all love Joe Flacco because he peppers everybody else with targets. And now, you know, we hate the starter going back in with Zach Wilson. So that's going to like ruin Conklin's. I mean, someone's going to get shut out of that offense, you know, with the lack of pass attempts. It's probably going to be Conklin. It's, you know, a lot's going to be coming off of the running backs too. So that's going to be tough for especially if he's like a sell high. I mean, you almost have to, but it's hard to sell him high because, you know, almost not a lot of people buy it.
Yeah, the market for tight ends is not very robust.
Yeah, not great, Bob. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm sorry, buddy, but yes, I do like Conk Daddy. That's one of my favorite nicknames. I will call him that, but I needed to hear it. One player situation I'm excited about for week 4, the Jacksonville Jaguars being run with actual adults in prominent positions, and with that, the growth of Trevor Lawrence just as a quarterback. Like, he's been pretty fantastic, and it also helps that Christian Kirk has, dare I say, been worth the money that they paid him, at least so 3 weeks into year 1. You know, we really should have known that improving the offensive environment would affect every piece of the offense here. I mean, it's really just a big trickle down effect from Doug Peterson to Trevor Lawrence, and then the strength of the offense grows and grows to now we have multiple pieces of the Jaguars offense that are, you know, super relevant in fantasy. I mean, James Robinson, the medical marvel himself, you know, we know he's been fantastic, but like Zay Jones is even a thing, you know, aside from Christian Kirk. Evan Engram, you know, we're hoping that he can be a bigger piece. Sorry, Coop, but I mean, it needed to be said. But yeah,
well, he's had 2 touchdowns called back. Had it not been for that, like, he would be a legit piece in this offense.
Maybe they should just, run him like the Giants did at the end of last year.
He faced Derwin James this week too. I mean, like, Derwin James powerbombed Travis Kelce. You gotta remember. So it's better days ahead. I think he's like 7th in routes run per dropback. So he's got that going.
Yeah,
he's out there running around. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, they play the Eagles.
Yeah. That's a tough. I think that might be a low key fun game though.
They got the corners.
And with the weather too. because that's going to be another weather game. I think that's going to be a big theme of this week. That's another game where they're going to have like a 90% chance of rain, a bunch of heavy winds. And so I think those underneath routes, like to ETN, to Kirk, to Ingram, are going to be the guys who get the touch or the targets in this game. And so I think that Ingram does have the possibility of kind of going off this week while they're focused on all those down or long routes. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get off of the things we're excited to see as much as we, love that. Let's talk about some things we're concerned about, things that we're a little nervous about. So, Britt, for you, one thing that you're nervous about heading into week 4.
I am super nervous about Kyler Murray and the entire Arizona offense. I don't really know what is going on. Coop, you were at the game. I don't know if you have some inside information about what's going on with this team, but Murray has only thrown 3 touchdowns through 3 games. They're not using him to run whatsoever. I think he has like 5 rushing attempts through 3 games. His quarterback rating is 49.5. And then you look at the drops that happened with the receivers this past week. I mean, they were dropping stuff all over the place. And then this week, AJ Green's likely out with that bone bruise. Greg Dortch is banged up. Rondale Moore's status is up in the air. Like, this offense has to figure themselves out. And I'm going to probably say the weather game again, but it's another game where there's going to be high winds and you're not going to be able to pass as accurately. And if they can't get some kind of just balance, I guess, to their offense, then they're in for a lot of trouble.
Yeah, it looked like at the game, it looked like a little dude running around throwing at the little dudes and them not breaking any tackles. That's like, they need DeAndre Hopkins back. I think that's the key that unlocks everything for this team, because they were letting them do the underneath screen passes and dump downs all game long to Marquise Brown, to Greg Dortch. They didn't seem to care, right? Like, they let Marquise Brown catch 15 of 17 targets, but he wasn't going anywhere with it, right? Like, and he should have hit Zach Ertz for that touchdown. The throw was a little high. Ertz should have made the catch. Like, that should have been there, but they need that. You know what I mean? And teams are starting to figure out how to play Kyler, which is like, they let him run around behind the line of scrimmage and just spy him. And that he did a lot of running around and not a lot of running the ball past the line of scrimmage, which is the worst thing you want for your quarterback, is to just like tucker himself out, but not actually run for any yards. Like, he hasn't really been running for past the line of scrimmage, but if you watch the games, he's covering all the ground. It's just all like, facing the wrong direction, a lot of it. So I don't know. They've got to do something else. He needs help playbook wise, play direction wise, but he also needs, like, honestly, they should bring in Antoine Wesley. And like I don't see what they need to get somebody out there. If AJ Green can't do it and there's no DeAndre Hopkins, they need bigger bodies, because they just looked small. That's what it was the entire game.
Trey McBride. They need somebody, like
anything, man.
Anything. And Trey McBride would be, I think, a talent upgrade versus, Andre Baselias of the world and the Andy Isabellas of the world. Like, you can't just trot out these, look like the Terminator from Little Giants. Like, you can't trot out, 5 of these guys and expect to run a functional NFL offense. Kyler Murray can't even see over the offensive line. That's a problem right there. That's why do you think he gets out and, outside the tackle box so often? But good God. That game wasn't even a game last week. It just looked, good in the stat sheet because Marquise Brown had 17 targets. Dortch and Ertz both had 10 targets, but good Lord.
Meaningless targets.
This is what, huh?
It was just meaningless targets. It was
yeah. Oh, they were so empty. Like, this is why Cliff Kingsbury is on the hot seat right now. I think it's Matt Rule is like front and center, but I think Cliff Kingsbury's right there next to him. You have Kyler Murray, who you paid. Now you brought in Marquise Brown. You're going to get DeAndre Hopkins back in a few weeks, but still, it's you got to set yourself up now. So
they have the tank.
Did y'all see?
They need DeAndre Hopkins back, Dave.
Yeah.
Well, did y'all see that press conference with Kingsbury where the reporter asked, so you have like 5'4" guys trying to block against a safety. Do you think that that's efficient or that that's whatever, something like that. And he's like, well, I admit he whipped on that block, but he has to do his job there. And then the reporter followed up and said, do you think you should be asking them to do different jobs? For a reporter to be that savage, I mean, that says it all right there.
What's so annoying about that reporter doing that is that everybody in the world was begging for Rondell Moore to play over like Max Williams. And that's the entire reason that Rondell Moore wasn't playing, is that he had him block on like 10 plays and he had like 3 whiffs and a holding penalty. Like, so, and now we flip around and we're like, oh, you can't have these guys block. It's like, you can't have it both ways. The problem is the GM drafted 7 of those dudes. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to build a team of Rondell Moore and Greg Dortch and Andy Isabella, then that's what it's going to look like. You know, it's crazy to me.
They're literally a flag football team. Like, they should have been out in Canton just cleaning house. But
sure.
It is what it is. Coop, what about you? A thing your player situation you're nervous about for week 4?
Yeah, I'm nervous about DJ Moore. And the reality here is that, there he goes. Kevin Tompkins, dude. Yeah, dude.
I'm sorry. It's a tough pill to swallow.
As crazy as it is, Baker Mayfield, this was pointed out to me by Mr. John and Pember, the number one Baker Mayfield hater of all time. But this statistic is true, that this year Baker Mayfield has the very worst QBR of any quarterback. And I was like, can't be worse than Justin Fields. And we pulled it up, and it's almost 5 points worse than Justin Fields. Like, it is down there, bro. Jimmy G and Joe Flacco are like at least 10 points higher. 18.8 QBR. That's out of 100, dude. Like, he is right now, according to that metric, the worst quarterback in the league. If he's not going to step up and be even moderately better, dude. No, he's not even Baker midfield. He's like...
That's so good. I'm really surprised I've never heard that before.
Yeah, no, dude. He's like Faker left field.
Deep fake now, Mayfield.
Yeah, like awful, dude. Awful. And if he doesn't get even moderately better, then you can't start DJ Moore, which is brutal for where you drafted him. Because, I mean, you just can't continue to start a guy who's supposed to be your wide receiver 2 that's getting 40 yards and sometimes none. Like, it's somewhere between 0 and 40. Like, there's a million guys you could start that do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
good.
Picked up,
put Matt Collins in place of DJ Moore this week.
If you started Matt Collins every week this year, then it would have been worth it over DJ Moore.
Right, because he's like wide receiver like 17 or something, or 20.
Just off the one game. At least you got one game out of him instead of 0.
Well, he actually had a good game too, also. So, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we will. Well, I'll just save it for later. But yeah, it's, as a DJ Moore truther, it's been really, really a tough pill to swallow, because the thesis behind DJ Moore was it can't get worse than Sam Darnold.
Couldn't possibly.
Well, I mean, I think Matt Rule has found his love connection with Baker Mayfield. At least Baker Mayfield's making a connection with somebody. Apparently it's Matt Rule, and apparently it's going to be in the unemployment line. I mean, we can only hope, because that might be what it's going to take for. I mean, it's not even the just DJ Moore. It's the entire like scheme of what they're trying to do. Like the fact that they're playing Shi Smith like 70-80% of routes, and then like you got Laviska Shenault who gets like that 1 5-yard pass and just houses it. Like that dude should be. I mean, Laviska Shenault, bias aside, that dude should be your big slot, like over replacement player Shi Smith. The fact that they're basically turning Christian McCaffrey into Derrick Henry, when last week Derrick Henry looked more like Christian McCaffrey than Christian McCaffrey, like it's a miscarriage of justice right now. That is the story of the 2022 Carolina Panthers. It's revolting to see. It's so bad. It's unwatchable football. Like, I will watch any football. I'll even watch the XFL. I don't even care. I don't know if I could stomach a Carolina Panthers game. Like, are they in on any Thursday night football? Like, I don't even know, but God, I'm going to watch like The Bachelor or whatever weird show is on Thursday nights, just so I don't have to watch that. It's bad, especially if it's led by Matt Rule, I should say.
Yeah.
And you know what the funny thing is? If Matt Rule gets fired, guess who's the head coach more than likely? It's Ben fucking McAdoo.
Which we saw how that worked out.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to see
that.
What the hell?
I mean,
like McAdoo in there.
There's inept, and then there's Matt Rule and McAdoo. Like, they are beyond inept at this point. Like, how do you have this many weapons? And on defense as well. You know, their defense isn't living up to what it should be right now. How do you have this much talent and you're just straight up squandering it against some very beatable teams? It makes zero sense.
If the Carolina Panthers, the success of the Carolina Panthers in 2022 was to complete a sentence speaking, this would be what they're doing right now.
Have you ever had a dreams that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
That is the
that
story.
Will always be an all-time fave. An all-time
That is the
fave.
story of the 2022 Carolina Panthers. Just lock it up right there. Boom. Put that in a time capsule.
We need to clip that. Clip it.
Ugly, baby. Ugly.
Yeah. Well, I guess I get to talk to what I'm concerned about now. If we're gonna just keep rolling this train going. The Jets offense with Zach Wilson. We touched on it a little bit, but with Tyler Conklin, I'm just so concerned about the lack of, there's not going to be as many pass attempts. We know Elijah Moore is going to get his. Garrett Wilson's been very good on a per route basis. He's still not running a full starter's route share. Yeah, Albert, that is.
Oh, that's going to be gross.
That is the opposite of must-see TV. So glad that's not at NBC because like Dick Ebersol will be rolling in his, I don't think he's dead yet, but yeah. So the New York Jets, I'm very concerned about. There's going to be targets just lopped off of people. Tyler Conklin's going to go back to being Tyler Conklin previous to 2022. It's going to hurt the bottom line of Breece Hall. It's going to hurt the bottom line of Michael Carter, at least keeping him relevant in fantasy. We just got to hope for just some actual tangible improvement with Zach Wilson. I just don't know if it's there, but the fact that just Joe Flacco at the very least made them semi-competitive was a good sign. It's Zach Wilson. I had never really had him as far as in any kind of esteem or any kind of confidence that he could work a functional offense in the NFL. He kind of showed a little bit of that in 2021, but never was really a guy that, really could take any big steps toward being that guy. We'll see. Change my mind. That's all I'm going to say. I am the guy at the table. Like Zach Wilson is a donk. Change my mind.
For fantasy fans, it's set up to fail because the game scripts for the Jets so far have been unsustainably good for fantasy football. The league leader last year averaged 69 snaps a game, and it was the Ravens, and they were running a ton of snaps. And the Jets are averaging 77. They're averaging over 50 pass attempts a game. They're on pace for the all-time record is 731, which was set last year because there was another game. They're on pace for 884. They're to obliterate the pass attempt records.
Hey, that's a good number, by the way.
Like if it was just Joe Flacco again, they probably would come back down to earth. Tyler Conklin, all these guys would come back to earth. You can't throw 50 times every single game. Your arm would fall off, dude. Like even Drew Bledsoe couldn't do that. He tried. So like it's not going to happen. And now you bring back Zach Wilson, who's probably more of a game manager. Yeah, I think now is the time to sell all those guys, honestly, especially Tyler Conklin. Because Tyler Conklin, when you look at his his percentages, they're not even good. Because like if you get 21 targets out of 150, what is that, like a 13% target share? That's lower than everything. That's lower than all these other guys. It's not even good. His ADOT's like 3 yards. He blocks on 10% of his pass plays. He is who we thought he was, but they just make him run around like crazy. You know what I mean? It's not going to continue happening. So just be very careful with the Tyler Conklins of the world because pain is coming.
Yep. I wrote in my hot takes article over at Fantasy Alarm after week 2 that I thought that the Jets should keep Flacco on even when Zach Wilson is healthy, at least for another couple of weeks, because this team is so young and this team needs a veteran presence. And I don't believe that Zach Wilson is that guy. I do think he is that game manager, which kind of intrigues me a little bit about Breece Hall, but they're not going to be in that kind of game script to use him like that. So yeah, it's not very pretty for any of the Jets. I'm sorry, Howard, if you're listening. I know that's not what you want to hear, but yeah, it's just unsustainable and it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, it's going to be like Tyler Conklin, Toronto Dave called him Conk Daddy. He's going to be Conk Stepdaddy because you're going to see him every other week, if that. So
that's a good one.
that was good.
That's strong.
It is what it is. So one question that we're firing through, by the way, tonight on some of this stuff. So might get weird in like the last 10 minutes of this show, even more weirder than we already have. One question that we want answered about a player situation week 4. And you know what? I'll start. You know what? No, actually, you know what? Coop, I want you to start. I want Mr. Hangover here to start.
Yeah, this is this one's near and dear to my heart, but I think it's also going to matter for fantasy football because you'll hear what's going on with Mac Jones. The team's saying minimum 4 weeks, but he's saying he wants a second opinion, could be 6 to 8 weeks. So we're going to get at least a Cooper Rush sized group of games here from Brian Hoyer. And as we've seen with Cooper Rush, a lot of times these guys come in and they lean on a certain player that they either like or are familiar with. Cooper Rush came in. It was the Noah Brown show for a while until he got some timing going with CeeDee Lamb. Brian Hoyer's going to come in and he's going to favor someone. We don't know who it's going to be, but that's honestly how it works. Like maybe they'll keep him to a super game manager role and he won't even throw that much, but somebody will benefit from this and potentially emerge as someone that you can use in at DFS at the very least. But could potentially emerge. Like what if he decides he wants to throw to Devonte Parker 8-9 times a game, right? That could happen. What if he loves Hunter Henry and decides every time they get anywhere near the red zone, he's going to throw to Hunter Henry? That could very well happen, right? Like Noah Brown has become a viable fantasy asset because of Cooper Rush. And now we get to see that with Brian Hoyer. So that is something that I want to see the answer to. It's a completely different player coming in and nobody can play the exact same game that the other guy plays. So we'll see. He could even be better than Mac Jones. You never know. Like Mac Jones is a pretty young player.
And speaking as a Cowboys fan, whenever Dak went down, it's like none of your Cowboys have fantasy value. Everything's in the garbage until Dak comes back. And then Rush comes in and actually does provide some kind, especially in PPR leagues, some fantasy value for a lot of these players. And so while I'm not, rushing out there to start Devonte Parker, who I do have in the Kings Classic auction because it was a stud and dud. So I ended up with Devonte Parker. I am very interested to see how this works out with Hoyer for the next few weeks and to see if they can develop some chemistry and some fantasy relevance. What I think is going to happen is that it's going to be a lot more run heavy. We're going to see a lot more Ramondre and Damian Harris, but like you said, he's got to throw to somebody. So.
Yeah, and I want to circle back to what you're talking about Cooper Rush, and obviously he's had a connection with Noah Brown. That's been very well, on display. Like the fact that a backup quarterback in the offense doesn't change that much should probably tell you everything you need to know about Kellen Moore, at least being a pretty good offensive coordinator and working to the talent that you have and not really changing it up. So it really matters, the offensive kind of philosophy and scheme there, because the fact that, I'm going to double back to Carolina. I don't really care with the fact that it rings true.
We need that clip. We need that Simpsons clip that's like, stop. They're already dead.
But it's true though. Like the fact that if you can't dial up something for DJ Moore when a backup quarterback and an offensive coordinator can, Cooper Rush looked great. Like at times, I'm not saying he's, going to be a great quarterback by any stretch, but I mean, he looked competent, and that's what you want out of a backup quarterback. You want somebody that, well, obviously they're not going to be as good as the starting quarterback, but they're going to be at least able to move the ball and at least perform the functions of your offense. Like, that's what you want. And then I guess I'll throw in my 2 cents about the Patriots here. I will try not to make it about the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, I mean, who knows? It could be like the Lil Jordan Humphrey show where he has just like some kind of connection with, these deeper wide receivers. I mean, he's running some routes. He's not doing much, but he's running routes, and that's, who knows? That could be a connection. Jonnu Smith, you never know about these guys. So I think we'll know early when we see some name popping off that we don't, really expect. It could be that narrative. That narrative always kind of seems to rear its head whenever we see these backup quarterbacks, get some time, or at least some extended time. So, yeah, Hoyer show lives again for another year.
On a side note, like, Lil Jordan Humphrey is like an oxymoron, right? Like, with that name, like, you think he's gonna be like a little slot guy. That dude's huge. He's like
massive.
He's like 6'4", 230. Like Lil, then they're like Lil Jordan. Like, dude,
it's like a Bugs Bunny cartoon where it's like Lil Jordan Humphrey. He's like, oh yeah, he's little, and then he like Bugs Bunny's like,
yeah. He comes out. He's like, I'm Pee Wee, right? Like, he should probably just drop the Lil part at this point.
Or like the dog that's like named Daisy and it goes after Elmer Fudd.
That's it.
Yeah. That's him. Get to a couple of these questions from Caden, the Colts fan. League mate of mine had Jefferson and Andrews on the trade block. Should I offer him Cooper Kupp for the pair? I mean, I don't necessarily hate that, but I think I would. I mean, you're getting Jefferson isn't, it's, I don't know if you really say a step down here, but then you're just going to tack on Mike Evans to that. I mean, you still got Tom Brady throwing him the ball. I mean, the team that really needs wide receivers now, as long as, when do they play the Saints next? Hopefully it's week 18 where he doesn't have to worry about getting suspended with Lattimore across from him. What do you guys think? I mean, I think I'm making that deal.
Oh, yeah, I think the value with that is so good because Jefferson does have that wide receiver one overall possibility. As soon as they get Kevin O'Connell and get everything kind of together, I mean, we saw it in week 1 what they can do in that offense. So, yeah, as much as I hate getting rid of Kupp, I think that you come out ahead in that deal as an overall value.
I still don't know for sure if Kupp is going to be better than Jefferson this entire season. I mean, it's been 3 games.
That's what I'm saying.
Tough matchups. Like, if you can just you're basically getting Mike Evans for free. So I'm doing that for sure.
Yeah, pretty much. And then this one got thrown in here by Anton. Should I accept Russ and Michael Carter to get Tua? Don't think I would do that. Not with Russ doing what he's doing, and I don't think you're getting enough back with Carter just because, I mean, Breece Hall for the first week, first time in 3 weeks out snapped and out, got more routes than Michael Carter did. I don't know if it's a complete changing in the guard with the Jets, but I think Michael Carter is now the 1B versus Breece Hall is the 1A. That may change a little bit with Zach Wilson, but I tend to figure if that's happened already in week 3, that's going to be a more constant thing. So I think Russ and Carter to get Tua, I mean, if you could trade those two to get Tua, I like it. I would want Tua here.
Yeah. I would take Tua. Awesome. Yeah, I would take. I was looking at
that QBR list. He's number 1 right now, baby. Tua's looked awesome, which seems crazy to me because you would think it'd be Lamar Jackson, but Tua's been cool.
Well, yeah, that's what happens.
Count Lamar's rushing yardage. That's the whole dig on QBR. I think they should too. I think it should be like an all-encompassing situation, but
that's what they tried. That's what they sold it to us as, because passer rating didn't. They sold it to us as a special stat that encompassed everything, but like. How is that not important? He's like, the dude's like QB1 and RB3.
Yeah. The fact that he is RB3 is mind blowing.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, Tua looks, Tua just looks weird on the other side of that trade as the side. But you know what? As things happen.
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
It's come to light, dude. It's true.
Yeah.
I think the moment that everyone realized who was good was when that dude posted that video that was flipped and it looked like he was right-handed, and everyone was like, "This guy's awesome. What the heck?" Right? Like everyone realized that it just looked weird because it was lefty.
Yeah, like Tua just went into like a clown, a house of mirrors, and yeah.
So,
That's what it is. All right, Britt. This is gonna be fun. What a question that you want answered about a player or a situation in week 4. The floor is yours. I think
So
I said week 4.
I think you said that on purpose. That was a Freudian slip because of your opinion on this player. But I need to see what Matt Collins can do in this. Yes, that's what we love to hear. For all our audio listeners, he accepted the trade. So there we go.
Awesome.
that was the Jefferson one, right? Jefferson and Mike Evans trade.
We go back.
I would have to
Cage
scroll
was
up.
Cage
Yes.
was Jefferson and Mike Evans for Cup. Yeah, dude. Free
That's
Mike
awesome.
Evans.
Perfect.
For sure.
Nice snag.
And then in like 2
Love it.
weeks, trade him Jefferson for Cup straight up. When Jefferson goes off this week, just be like, "Oops, you want him back?"
Right. Love it.
So good.
Okay, but I want to see what Matt Collins can do in this offense. And I know that everybody out there is saying, well, they didn't have Hunter Renfrow, like he was just a fill-in. He's not going to have a role going forward in this offense. But I would like to argue that he does. In week 1, he had an 88% snap share. Week 2, he had an 87% snap share. And week 3, he had a 96% snap share. Even with Renfrow in week 2, he saw 8 targets. I think that Matt Collins could be a legitimate downfield threat as opposed to Renfrow's slot receiving ability. And I think that that's what the Raiders are going to need with all the attention on Devonte Adams. Now, I'm not ready to start him every week, but I am very, very intrigued about what he can do on this offense. And I just want to see a little bit more.
Well, yeah, he is playing a full snap share. There's no question. I mean, they are just rolling out 3 wide receivers, and realistically, it's 4 because if you look at Darren Waller, he's playing like 90% of his snaps at wide receiver. So this team just rolling 4 wide receiver sets. It's not the first time we've seen this. We watched the Washington at the time they were the Redskins, now the Commanders, did something very similar, and they just rolled out 3 wide receivers and Logan Thomas, who was just standing up near the tackle, but not ever blocking and just running routes, right? And it's a very fun offense, but in this case, they're not winning any games. But it does lead to a lot of slinging the ball around. It's just a matter, for me, it's a matter of ranking these targets and ability. If you, for Mac Hollins to emerge, somebody needs to bite the dust. So Britt, who do you think is the guy that kind of falls by the wayside a little bit in this case? If Mac Hollins does, not you saying it will happen, but because we're talking about things that we want to see what happens, right? But in the world where Mac Hollins does continue to be kind of a boss here, who would be the one that you think would be most affected by it?
I think it would be Renfrow, because if you look at the overtime game in Arizona, Renfrow fumbled the ball not once but twice. They were fortunate to recover it on that first fumble, but then he fumbled that game-losing ball. I mean, twice in one overtime drive. I mean, you just can't do that. And I think what Hollins has shown that, that incredible catch, that touchdown catch that he did, literally leaning over the guy and snagging the ball and then tucking it in. I mean, that was so impressive. That's something that Hunter Renfrow cannot do. That's not to say that Hunter Renfrow isn't good at football. He's a filthy route runner. Like, he's got great hands, but he doesn't have the size and that speed that Matt Hollins has. And so I think eventually that Hollins could outsnap Renfrow and end up being the third in line in this offense.
I think he honestly kind of already quietly has been snapping him.
Mm-hmm.
I think Matt Collins just been out there. He has now targeted him. That's the thing. So, but especially in standard or I don't really play a lot of standard leagues, but if you play standard, guys like Renfrow aren't that good. They really aren't. And guys like Matt Collins, you don't care about if they do it with 3 catches for 75 yards versus a guy like Hunter Renfrow who needs 9 to get 75 yards. You know what I mean? So there are definitely formats where Matt Collins, best ball, obviously Matt Collins is locked in now, right? But yeah, there are definitely formats for it. Well, I agree. Interesting to see what happens. I think Devonte Adams gets peppered with targets this week after the comments he made about how disappointed he was. Like, if you're Derek Carr and that's your best friend, and like he's pissed about, you know, the team losing, and he's also not being that involved, this is where you go and say, okay, you and me are going to win this game, right? So Devonte Adams, I'm getting him in some DFS lineups this week, just on the squeaky wheel, you know, narrative game at the very least.
Yeah, the old finger trap narrative. You got to keep your friends close. I knew he heard that. Britt silently led us onto that revelation there. But yeah, I don't want to like be that guy. I did tweet something earlier in the last couple days. So let me actually pull it up here. I actually think he's probably like a Ferrari version of Alan Lazard, because we know he's going to be the split end. This is like Mac Hollins is what Alan Lazard wishes he could be.
Dude, you got to make it three-way with Devontae Parker in there too.
Like I just have him come out of the NYPD van, like just sticking his head out.
Yeah.
Like
Parker, same thing. 0 receptions, and all of a sudden he has this one big game, but he's just like they're kind of like the guy that hangs out on the side while everyone's playing.
Yeah.
But no, I mean Mac Hollins, yeah, if he's gonna have a role, I mean it's very this three-way, gutter that, Dave. Throw that one right in the gutter. Yeah, I mean I think Mac Hollins is everything that Alan Lazard wishes he could be. Sorry, Howard, but like it's not looking out good out there outside of touchdowns. But hey,
especially with
Mac
Dubs
Hollins
making an emergence.
Right. Like Alan Lazard quickly could be like the wide receiver too. And then if they needed to play these young guys to see what they have, they needed some juice in that offense. And Dubs, like it wasn't even like accumulation in the game. It was on the first drive. He had 3 catches in the first drive and then capped it off with a touchdown. Like he asserted himself from like snap 1. So, but back to Hollins, I think he could be a thing. I just don't know I don't think we're going to be seeing 8 for 158 all that often, but we know he's going to be out there running routes as the split end. I mean, he's probably going to have like wide receiver 3, when all is said and done, if he's getting this work. I mean, I think he can get close to 100 targets, but hopefully I'm wrong. So yeah, I've never really I mean, he's already 29 years old. I guess it's the ageist in me where I guess I'm branded to be out on him because he's already kind of dusty. But, as we saw, dust can thrive. Look at Tyler Lockett.
It's not dynasty, Kevin. You can have one good year.
That's right.
You can. I mean, not everybody's Larry Fitzgerald, but you know what? Damn it. Why can't Mac Hollins be Ferrari Alan Lazard? Why not? So the thing that I want answered, how long can the Steelers keep up with this Mitch Trubisky charade? Like, I understand that Mike Tomlin is a man of conviction and a man that is not afraid to say what he wants to say at any given time. But at some point, you have to, at least the quarterback that you took with the 20th overall pick, Mitch Trubisky is he's sinking this team offensively. Like, it trickles down to the run game. I mean, the offensive line was not great to begin with, but the fact that, Deontay Johnson needs like 16 targets just to go 8 for 80 is not great. And it just sinks George Pickens. It sinks big slot Chase Claypool, Pat Freiermuth. Like, with these weapons, it's like it's the meme of putting a Ferrari in next to that dilapidated trailer. Like, it's that meme right now. The dilapidated trailer is Mitch Trubisky. Like, maybe Pickett's worse, and that's possible, but you don't know it until you at least throw him out there. Like, right now, like, Trubisky is not Justin Fields. He's not Joe Flacco. He's not Baker Mayfield, but he's still pretty bad. He's still a well below average quarterback. So, and
everyone talks about ruining these guys, like that you might ruin the guy. Well, dude, that's what they said about Tua, that they had Fitzpatrick there, then they put in Tua.
But we know what Trubisky is, though. Right. We've seen it for 6 years.
Right. Well, that's the thing. We know who Ryan Fitzpatrick was. Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick was playing over Tua. They put in Tua. Tua didn't do well. They had to take him back out. Guess what? They didn't ruin Tua. Tua's fine. So, like, if he's not playing well, I'm with you, Kev. Give Kenny Pickett a chance. You're not going to, I mean, I don't think you're going to ruin him. He's either going to be able to play NFL caliber football at some point in his career or he's not, you know? Like, I don't think starting him for a couple of games in the middle of the season is the defining factor of his entire career.
Right. It's not like this team had expectations to go to the Super Bowl this year anyway.
Yeah, it's not like he would have been a super mega star, but because you played him against the Jets this week, now he can never be, right? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's not how it works, dude. But the thing is, if they don't put him in now this week, I think it would be a mistake to put him in the week after and start Kenny Pickett in his first game ever against the Bills. I think that would be a mistake at least. Yeah. Or the game after against the Buccaneers, or the game after against the Dolphins. So it's kind of a rough.
So you're saying
I'm
never
looking at the
do
schedule,
it.
dude, or look at the schedule or the Eagles. It's like put him in this week against the Jets. I think you gotta, yeah. I mean, like that. There, dude. Now that I pulled their schedule, it is a murderer's row. You know, like I guess you gotta wait till they play the Saints. I don't know, man. Because like, are you really gonna put them in
15?
This is their schedule. It goes Jets, which is now would be the time, right, against the Jets.
Oh God, I just looked at it.
Bills, Buccaneers, Dolphins, Eagles, Saints, Bengals, Colts. Then you get the Colts and the Falcons.
You get a 2-game stretch there where you can throw them in,
and then you get the Ravens. So, yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know. At the very least, maybe against the Buccaneers, first game out, maybe at home, but on the road against the Bills, that's cruel and unusual punishment. So maybe 2 more games from Mitch. Maybe 2 more.
Yeah, I never had high expectations for Trubisky even coming into the season. It's been validated by watching his inaccuracy and just complete like unawareness in the pocket and all of his mental errors that he's done. I mean, as somebody who has so much Najee, he's really, really screwing over my Najee shares because he's just not, nobody has to respect the pass. So what, how are you going to run it when nobody respects the pass? Like that's the only thing that you can do. And they started out with some pretty easy games on their schedule, but going down, I mean, this might be the first season that Tomlin has a losing record. And I mean, why not give Pickett some exposure and some experience?
They need to blow out one way or another. Like, these games have been close, so you haven't really had a chance. Like, if they go up big on the Jets, put them in. If you're getting crushed by the Bills, put them in. Takes the pressure off when you go into the game as like part of a mop-up crew, because it's like, if Mitch goes out and sets you up with like 24-0 Bills, then even if you go out and turn the score into 35-0, you don't feel so bad about it because it's like, you didn't do anything the guy before you didn't do. You're playing with house money. So that's probably when we're first going to see Pickett, is one of these games will be a blowout and they'll say, get in there, kid, and he'll get crushed.
It's like inheriting base runners.
Right, exactly. It's like, that was some other guy stuff, right? So I think that's what we will see Pickett probably somewhere in here during the stretch if they're getting blown out.
Yeah. The scary thing is just knowing how steadfast Tomlin was, and it's just how stubborn he was in saying like there's like almost no chance, paraphrasing, but like no chance that Pickett's going in. Like, okay, well, you're playing for like 6-11 anyway. So what difference does it make? Like, go get the top 5 draft pick and play Pickett. And if, he sucks, well, whatever, go get some offensive linemen and call it a day. We'll see you in 2023. Like your offense is pretty much set up right now. All you really need is offensive linemen to get, TJ Watt back up and upright and healthy. Like, and you're probably, if you're not winning the division, you're in the mix. Like, it's almost like, I know it sucks to say we're already only through 3 weeks, but like live to play another day at this point.
Yep.
Yeah. We got a couple more. I thought we had one question above, but I may not have. Did you guys see one? Okay. Well, I know there's that one. I thought there was one above. What do you think I could get from Mike Williams and Javonte Williams? Probably get a decent piece. I mean, with those two?
I would hang on to him. I think Javonte's gonna.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Javonte's gonna going to find his way in Hackett's offense. Like they're going to get that split share figured out eventually. Mike Boone is not going to be a part of that backfield for long. I think that's just Hackett's way of trying to be cute, and it hasn't really worked for him. So he's going to have to run Javonte more.
Right. And he did say he's planning on flipping Mike Williams and Javonte for a better running back. So, I mean, I just don't know what better, because it stinks because now 2 of the top running backs that you could have possibly traded him for are now hurt, when Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Swift, who I think could have made some sense there if you got another receiver back, a lesser receiver than Mike Williams. But it's tough because the running back market is very thin right now. It's like, I mean, Nick Chubb is a 2-down back, Derrick Henry is coming off a foot injury, but it's been okay. Christian McCaffrey isn't the same Christian McCaffrey we've seen when he's been healthy. The running back, Mark Taylor, I mean, on a bad team.
Caden, if you pull up the guy, Alex, peaked in high school, real good dude. We actually have him on the show every Wednesday morning. He's a guy from Reddit. His trade chart suggests that you should be able to trade those 2 guys for virtually anybody except for McCaffrey, Taylor, or Saquon. So, like, if you're going to trade those guys, make sure you're getting like a guy that you consider to be a megastar. But like, yeah, like Kev's saying, like, are you gonna have to buy somebody who is falling in price? You know what I mean? Like a banged up Dalvin or an Austin Eckler, right? Like, would you do that? Would you guys do that for Austin Eckler?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
No.
I think I would just hang on to what you have, man.
Yeah. That was I knew I saw that one. It was Wendy who had a super flex question. My quarterbacks are Ryan Fields and Jimmy G. Would you drop either for Zach Wilson, Hoyer, or Brissett, or just jump off a cliff? I would not. I don't want that on my conscience to tell you to jump off a cliff. Please don't do that.
I thought you were going to say, I don't want that on my conscience to have you pick up Brian Hoyer. So jump off the cliff.
Well,
like
now that you
between Hoyer
mention
and the cliff. If it's between Hoyer and the cliff, I don't know. I don't know, Wendy.
The fact that it's a kind of a tough decision should kind of tell you everything you need to know. No. I mean, I don't know if I can drop any quarterback that's slated to start in a super flex. I think I would just hold the line there. I mean, I guess if I'm going to drop anybody, it'd probably be, I don't know, probably Matt Ryan, but I don't think I wouldn't drop any of them. You're not really getting a sizable upgrade either way for any of those quarterbacks. Certainly not Hoyer, Wilson, or Brissett, or just kind of average. I mean,
that'd be pretty shallow benches, right? Like for most of the Superflex leagues I'm in, there's not many quarterbacks out there at all, right?
Yeah, it's like the toast of like backup quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just sit.
I've been starting Brissett and Scott Fishbowl.
Eek.
Could be
Well, that's
worse.
another thing with Brissett too. You've got to remember that he's not playing this entire season, so you're basically picking up a loner if you pick him up for any of these guys who theoretically could start all season,
Yeah. Offered James Robinson and Goddard for Kelsey. Have ETN. I'm hurting at running back. Still no, right? Yeah. That's negative.
That's kind
for
of
me.
nice though.
Yeah, you can't get rid of Kelsey though.
Nah, can't. Do that.
Yeah, just you have such a positional advantage with Kelsey or Andrews versus the field. Like Tyler Conklin is your tight end 3. Like that should tell you everything about the strength of the tight end position or lack thereof. So, yeah, you hard pressed. I mean, say what you want about he's literally a medical marvel, James Robinson. Like it's a great story. I just don't know if that's it is. Like, is this? It feels like the last like 6 to 8 months have changed our complete worldview on the Achilles injury. Now,
right? Sterling Shepard looked good too, but then he tore his other ACL.
So awful.
I mean, can't really take away from the Achilles recovery.
yeah,
That stadium is literally the worst stadium for injuries, I think, in the entire league. That stadium has claimed more ACLs and Achilles than anywhere else.
yeah, you're not kidding. Scampers here, feelings about Chark with their injuries. Yeah, Chark has been like running the routes, but just he's fallen in like the back of the pack. Like Josh Reynolds had a great game last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown was in and out of the lineup, coming off the field, but he still ran like almost 80% route share. And then Hawkinson scored the touchdown. Like it's going to be hard to have him mix in, and that's what makes him such a tough start for me. Like, if I'm going to pick someone that's not a Sun God or Hawkinson in the pass game, it's probably Chark, but it doesn't mean I feel great about it.
I
I
can't
like
get too
Chark.
excited about
I
Chark.
still think
like
he's
him.
going to be fine.
Yeah, I think it'd be fine. I like him as more of a DFS play. You know what I mean? Lean into the situation.
Yeah, he's a good contrarian pick there, certainly. All right. Well, I think we are going to get out of here. Any last words, Britt, Coop, before we log off?
I just swear if Justin Jefferson has another bad week, I think my brain might explode. We cannot have this. We need some of that London touchdown magic that Kyle Pitts saw last year. We need this to happen.
And I just want to say thanks to everybody that joins us, man. Asks the questions, comes and hangs out, especially the people that come in and hang out on like the Better Sports Show in the morning and then come in here, man. Like, can't tell you how much we appreciate that, dude. You guys are super cool. So thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Helps us out, helps us feed our kids, and hit the like button too. I mean, you know, my kids are running around, you know, no shirts on. We need to buy shirts.
Kids
like
gonna
we
be
need
kids gonna be eating cat food soon if you don't smash that like button for real.
Yeah. You want me I don't have
kids,
I mean,
but I might have to get some and feed them cat food if nobody hits the like button. So.
Outside of like everybody on Twitter and Britt and Coop, like I don't think anybody wants to see me eating cat food.
This has become a threat.
It really has. Like,
Can recreate the Always Sunny scene.
Yeah, might have to.
You know what's sad? I've never really like given that show a chance to watch it.
What?
Really funny.
Never. Hey, I'm just getting caught up on
your
shows.
homework.
Like
it's like white trash Seinfeld.
It's
That's legit what it is.
That's a great way to describe it. I've never heard it described that way, but you're absolutely right.
Just bad people doing horrible things. It's hilarious.
Bad people doing horrible things. I love it. All right. Well, we're gonna get on out of here. Of course, remember there is a London game for week 4, so you're gonna have to either set your lineup Saturday night or wake up at the crack of dawn to set your lineup with your Vikings and Saints. So go do that. For Britt Flinn, for Andrew Cooper, I am Kevin Tompkins. Coop, well, lead us out.